The Red River rivalry is back for another round, and it couldn't come at a more interesting time. Oklahoma is coming off a devastating loss to the unranked Iowa State Hawkeyes, and Texas is coming off of a high after beating West Virginia.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see, and coaching is definitely going to be one of the key factors in this game. Tom Herman, the first-year man, he was in Houston last year. He had huge wins at Houston. He was a coach. He was a graduate assistant under Riley at Oklahoma in the early 90s and late 2000s. So he has a little bit of experience on both sides of this rivalry.
And what are some of these Oklahoma strengths that are going to give them the edge over Texas?
So Baker Mayfield, he's one of the biggest Oklahoma strengths in general every week, week in and week out, but especially this week in a huge rivalry game at a neutral site. He has a lot of experience in this game. He has a lot of experience in big games in general. So far this season and throughout his college career, he's been a little inconsistent. He's had those amazing moments, planting the flag and whatnot, and he has the ability to be a true superstar in this league. But he also has some of those plays where you just question why he's doing what he's doing. But his experience and his leadership abilities are going to be pivotal in this game especially. They also have the number 1 ranked offense with 30 touchdowns and just over 585 yards per game. An extremely impressive offense. Oklahoma is not just known for their offense, though. They also have a pretty good defense, and they also won last year's matchup 45-40.
Well, Oklahoma won last year's matchup, but Texas kept it close, and they lead the overall series with 61-45. Now, Sam Ehlinger, he is the true freshman, and we have seen him step up, especially last week against Kansas State. He gathered 380 passing yards against Kansas State, who is a leading defensive unit in the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, Texas definitely has their strengths. They've had a pretty impressive season, a season that I didn't think was going to go this well for them, especially with a brand new head coach. But they do have those 5-star and 4-star recruits everywhere, 4-star recruits everywhere. Their facilities and their assistants, just as always, are still amazing. Texas definitely has some weaknesses, though. As you said, he is a true freshman quarterback. He has no experience. This will be his first rivalry game against anyone. But in a big rivalry like this, one of the biggest rivalries in all of sports, definitely college sports, at a neutral site game, it's going to be loud. It's a new environment. It's a stadium he's never played in before. It'll be really interesting to see how he's able to respond to that and whether he has the leadership abilities or if people around him are able to step up and keep his confidence up, because there will be some point in this game when he makes a bad pass or two, and whether he's able to respond to that positively or whether it gets in his head and he continues to make those mistakes throughout the game. They also have the 58th ranked rushing offense in college football so far this year, which, last year that was really a strength for them running the ball. This year, it really hasn't been. They did graduate their starting running back last year, and I believe he's in the NFL right now. But either way, with that big offensive line, they have a lot of meat up front. They have the ability to run the ball. They just haven't really been focusing on it.
I don't see that happening, but it is a neutral site, so although it is kind of a weakness, it's also an advantage because the crowd's going to be split. It'll be half and half, so it won't be, 90,000 all for Oklahoma,
No.
So I think that may play into it a bit. The fans will have his back. But it is going to be a challenge. He doesn't have this rivalry experience, and he doesn't know what this is like. This means a lot for both teams, and he's coming into this brand new with no clue. A couple things the Oklahoma Sooners do struggle with, the big one here being physicality. They have gotten bit pretty hard by the injury bug, losing among those one of their top wide receivers, C.D. Lamb, who has 307 receiving yards for 4 touchdowns, and he averages 18.1 yards per reception. Defense has also been a struggle for the Oklahoma Sooners. It lacked against Iowa State, and they give up 39 points on average per game with a total of 449 yards per game, 368 of that through the air. So they need to strengthen their secondary seriously against this Texas offense.
Yeah, this Texas offense, it'll be really interesting to see with the young quarterback. He's excelled so far this season, but with that injured secondary, he should be able to take advantage of it for sure. He definitely has the ability as a 4-star recruit coming out of high school. He has all the tools needed. He has the weapons around him. He has the big play threats. He has the arm for it. He just needs to take advantage and really take his game to the next level and be one of the top producers and be a leader at the University of Texas, which is huge for anyone being the University of Texas in college football. But Sam Etling, as we were just talking about, he has just over 900 yards so far passing this year, which isn't an extremely impressive number, but it is second among all freshman quarterbacks in the FBS, which, when you take into account that he is a true freshman, is pretty impressive so far. He has 5 touchdowns and only 3 interceptions. Those numbers aren't the best, but especially when they get closer to the red zone, they tend to run the ball quite a bit. They have a lot more rushing touchdowns than you would expect. They also, he had a great game against Kansas State and added 107 rushing yards, as you said earlier, and he also had a rushing touchdown against Kansas State, who has a pretty good rushing defense. With both his legs and his arm, he should be able to damage this injured Oklahoma defense.
And it's a showdown of the quarterbacks this week in terms of impact. On the opposite side, Oklahoma has Baker Mayfield, who's going to be their key player. He completes his passes at 75% for a total of 1,635 yards with 15 touchdowns and surprisingly no interceptions. He makes smart passes and protects that ball like he should. He also has 17 career rushing touchdowns, and he can extend plays beyond the physical front seven. The inexperience at quarterback for Texas is going to be a downfall. He will play a good game. He's going to surprise some people. But I'm going with Oklahoma. Oklahoma won last year, and when Texas had Shane Buechele. Shane Buechele is now injured, so now I think that's going to be a huge downfall for Texas, and Oklahoma's easily going to get the win.
Yeah, it's really hard in rivalry games like this because it can really just come down to the flip of a coin. Who gets the ball first? One play can really make the difference in this entire rivalry. I agree, though. On paper, Oklahoma has the better team. They've looked better so far in games. But, as it is a rivalry game, anything can happen. It's college football. Who knows? Well,
and with rivalry games, it all comes down to who wants it more. Is Texas going to want it, or is Oklahoma? Well, that's all for now. I'm Janae Muchmore.
And I'm Griffin Parkers. Thanks for watching, guys.
And be sure to check out our other weekly matchups on the right side of your screen. Have a great night.
Have a good night.